I am Zanzi. You are listening to Farmers Inside Track, proudly brought to you by Food from Zanzi. My name is Patricia Tembo, your host, and welcome to episode 553. So today we welcome Lesedi Serapelwane, who is a third-generation farmer leading her family's commercial farm in the northwest near the Kalahari. Join us as she takes us through her farming journey. Lesedi Serapelwane, welcome to Farmers Inside Track as our farmer mentor for today. We are so happy that you have made the time to join us, and I'm particularly looking forward to hearing more about your journey and your story as a farmer, a woman taking up space in the sector. So welcome to Farmers Inside Track.
Hi, Patricia. Thank you so much for having me. I am very honored to be here on your platform to also be able to share bits and pieces about me. So thank you so much.
Awesome. So, of course, as a farmer, the journey begins somewhere, right? So maybe to just set the foundation, the context for our conversation, how did you get into farming? Or how did the journey into agriculture begin for you? Of course, hearing your surname, I was mentioning to you earlier off recording that no wait, the surname is very familiar in the agricultural space. So maybe you'll go into that. But you are obviously setting a foundation for yourself and creating the space for you to thrive for yourself as well. We're very interested in hearing more about that. So how did you get into farming?
As a third generational farmer, I'm always grateful for our forefathers, our grandfathers, particularly my grandfather and my father, who've always been in, the farming industry. And farming is who I am or who we are. It is in our DNA. We grew up and we found our grandfather farming, my dad farming, and having to participate in going to the farm, doing those farm visits from a young age. I could pretty much say that farming has just always been a part of who I am. However, just like anybody else who goes to school, I actually studied media and journalism and majored in news writing. So I was in Joburg. I think I was there for over, 13 years. And then I actually thought that I'm going to be a city girl now. This is who I'm going to be. And then about 3 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and my dad was not well as well. And so then I took a decision to rather, resign from my 9 to 5 to come and, of course, take care of my parents, but most of all, also join in and farm alongside my father. And that is pretty much how I then began my full-time journey in farming alongside my dad, full-time, day-to-day, staying in the farm. To date, I still stay in the farm. In actual fact, I am managing the farm, which is the family business. And I am always grateful for having to have the likes of my father, my uncles, who I always look up to, and seeing how they have penetrated the industry and how we can also find our feet and, bring bigger things, of course. That's pretty much how the journey has begun, and it still continues.
Well, it's a very unique way that you entered into as you were speaking, and you mentioned that your background is in journalism, and my background is in agriculture. So having this reverse, I'm like, oh no, I'm doing this interview with someone who actually has the background in it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting interview. Condolences to hearing about your mom who has passed away.
My mom is actually survived, but my dad has passed. But my mom did. The past 3 years we were together. I was farming alongside of him, and I only lost him last year. I'm always grateful. I was with him, the 3 years when I had, decided to leave my 9 to 5. He was here. So catching up on the ropes here and there, learning while he was there. Of course, not anticipating that he would not be with me right now.
I fully understand and resonate also having lost my dad. So,
Condolences.
but of course, these kind of experiences shape us, unfortunately, and there's something that comes from carrying that sort of grief and pain. So, in terms of the timeline, when did you start managing the farm? What sort of phase was the farm in when you started managing? Maybe talk us through that timeline and the state of, I suppose, the farm when you had started and what you were taking over.
To take you through the agribusiness, of course. So we are commercial farmers. We farm in the harsh conditions of the Kalahari in the northwest, in the Dr. Ruth Homusi district. We are a mixed farm, consists of large stock, small stock, and crops sometimes. However, our core operation is beef production. So when I came in, like I said, I started working alongside my dad, who has already established a fully operational business where things have been running. There is processes in line that I had to just come in and at least just follow through in, what he is doing. So after he passed, that is last year, I had to fully take over, like fully. I'm making the decisions. I'm making sure that our helpers are well taken care of. I make sure that, the animals are well taken care of. Feed, that operation is running as smoothly as it would have been running while he was still around. And of course, like I said, you don't anticipate that tomorrow this person will not be there, and having to step in right there and then, it is crazy. It's one of those where you're like, shoot, I'm not even sure if I'm going the right path or if things are going accordance. But having to have him the 2 years prior the passing has really mentored me and helped me and shaped me in terms of where do we go from here. So it wasn't completely that there was no functionality. There was already, like I said, processes that were there. It was just for me to step in and to step up and to say, okay, this is how we're going to move forward. And of course, in that space, there's also some of the things that you yourself, you're still learning as well to say, shoot, what would he have done in this case? But you always have to go back, reflect and say, hey, this is how we used to do things. This is how this is how I'm going to do things. Right now, we under my management, although sometimes, you just struggling, wondering, sure, I wonder if I'm doing well, but I can pretty much say, I remember the other day when we went to the market and I was sitting there and I was looking at our calves going out and the amount that they were selling for. I was just like, wow, we actually are doing a good job. At least we are still in full functionality. We still pushing just as he would have wanted us to. So we are doing quite well. And we have also just increased in terms of our small stock. So that's where I can fully say small stock, we have grown a lot. Like I said, our core operation is beef production. We are doing quite well in our small stock as well, because we even participate in small stock auctions now that we host ourselves.
So when you say small stock, is it goat farming or is it poultry?
Goat farming specifically. You have sheep, but goat farming is what we are currently doing, moving. Our future's looking a bit bright there.
And with the beef production, that's, I suppose, a core enterprise of the business. Maybe you can talk us through that a little bit more in terms of what breed are you working with and the region that the farm is located as well. Maybe paint a picture of the core operations and what that looks like.
Like I mentioned, we farm in very harsh conditions of the Kalahari in the northwest, in the Ruth Mokhomotsi Mompati district. So our conditions here, it's crazy. We barely have rain. It doesn't rain as much. And it gets extremely hot, makes farming a bit tricky because your animals have to adapt to these tough conditions. So we breed with Bonsmaras. I remember one time I asked my dad, why did you choose Bonsmara? And I chose it because I did not try any other breeds, because I realized that Bonsmara was the one that, was able to adapt in these conditions that we are in. And therefore, I had to then kind of move in that direction. And also considering the fact that it's also one of the good breeds, of course, we're doing quite well in that. But that's technically what we are doing. So what we do is we breed and we take our animals to, these auction markets, but also we also sell to our locals for events. Could be like their weddings or funerals or stock fair, such events, of course. So that's what we do.
And of course, as you said, the business, how you've been able to continue what your father has started. What are the key factors that have enabled you and the family? As you said, it's a family-run business as well. What has enabled to scale the business to where you are now, where you're able to host auctions and have a consistent, I suppose, keep a cycle consistent with terms of the beef production?
So more than anything, I think what has helped us and helped me was having to build strong relationships with people that are already in the industry that are well experienced, but also to find mentorship. Because, of course, I find myself in a situation where my dad was my greatest mentor, but now this person is not here. So where do you go to? That's when you get to appreciate the people that you have around you, the family, your uncles, that you can go to and say, hey, when this happens, what do I do? How do I move from here? Where do I go from here? So the power of mentorship goes a long way, and building strong relationships with the people that you live with and live amongst, and that they have experience in this industry. So that has really helped me, but also having to diversify. Diversification is one of the things that is very key. Like I said, our core is then beef production, but of course, having to, obviously, there's mating season, you have to wait for, then the calf is born, and while you're waiting for the calf to grow up, what happens then? You can't obviously be going to an auction every month, but the farm has to function, the business has to function. You've got people that are pending on you in terms of their salaries, and you have to buy feed. What happens in those times? So that's where we diversify, we do small stock, those then that helps with helping us finance the farm, finance the operation, and doing things like crops. So we usually plant maize and peanuts. So we obviously sell that to other people, to the market. But also we keep some for us to be able to produce feed for ourselves and for our animals. That means it helps you in your pockets, because then instead of having to go buy feed, that means you have then produced feed from what you had planted. That helps you then not tap into the pocket so much, because that would then help. So diversification, that is helpful. So also having to take obviously manure from your small stock to where you are going to be planting, that is part of diversification. That means you then again you are saving up a lot of costs in that. So you always have to find ways that can help you be able to run the operation of the business. So I think that has helped us a lot, but also ensuring that we have good management of our animals. Your things are then of quality, so that when you take them to the market, you come back with better, because you have then taken care of, managed your animals correctly. Your vaccination programs are in order. You make sure that you have correct and enough feed for your animals, and that means you are producing quality, and then you go to the market, you can't come back crying, I put in my all, I put in my best, and they should be buying my products for a good price. If somebody is coming to us to want to buy a cow, you can really say, this is the price I'm putting in, because you know that you have worked. You've put in efforts in ensuring that your products are of quality. You understand? So I think those are some of the things that I can say, that some of the factors that have helped me in scaling the business.
And you mentioned strong relationships being one of the key factors, and, the people you live among. So when I'm hearing that, I'm hearing that, of course, the farm operates within a community. And maybe if you could expand a little bit on that, I think that might be something interesting, for maybe our farmers listening as well. The importance of considering the community that the farm is operating on, because it's not in isolation.
The closest village to where I am is about 55 kilometers, but we also have like small villages just close by. But if you have strong relationships, like I said, then you've got people that you can go to ask for help, because you cannot do things by yourself. Unfortunately, you cannot run up a business by yourself. Somehow, somewhere, you are going to need help. You are going to need to find out, how is the market doing? What did you do for you to get where you are? And also, like I mentioned, people also coming to support in terms of buying your products, buying your kettles, or buying your small stock. It is from having to build that relationship with you. They trust and they believe in what you are doing. And therefore, they are able to say, hey, I need a cow for a certain event. So, Lesedi would be the correct person perhaps to go to. Or if somebody is asking, then they can, refer the person to say, go to this lady is doing this and that, and her kettles are actually big and the quality, and, so that is really quite important to have relationships with people. But also because in farms, we are within the community, but of course the farm is slightly a bit further. So if you do not have a good relationship with the people that you stay with or you live amongst, then theft also happens because, you don't have relationship with them. You do not know what is happening. And that puts your business at a risk. So and I always say community is best. Community is what makes us and what grows us. Umumutu ke muthu ka batho, that saying says that. So yeah, Ubuntu.
I love that, Ubuntu. And, you mentioned challenges that can arise, and if you're having strong relationships with those around you, it can help with mitigating things like theft and even spread of disease. So maybe if we could go into what some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced to date and how you've navigated them. I know of the farm being in a very arid area of South Africa, and that may even have been, or maybe, some of the challenges that you experienced. So yeah, maybe talk us through how you navigate all of that.
So I must say the greatest challenge that I had encountered to date that I'm still shocked is the loss of my father. Of course, having to have lost my father had been one of the toughest ones because like I mentioned that this person is not here and you are now stepping in and you are not sure where to go, what to do, how to even go forward. And having him to have always been my number one or my greatest cheerleader, and that person is all of a sudden not here. It is one of my greatest challenges. But also having to farm in harsh conditions, like I mentioned, with no rain, in extreme heat, being in a very isolated type of a thing. We are very far. Kalahari is not close by. I think we are closer to the Botswana borders today. That's how secluded we are. Like I said, I have always believed in having to have the people that you have around you to ensure that you do have the help that you need, ensuring that you know why you are here. Like I mentioned earlier, that farming is what I am. It's in my DNA. So I push through and I follow on the teachings and the footsteps of my father because I saw him do it. I know he was passionate about this, and that pushes me to want to also push myself because this is what we are. We went to school with him funding the farming business. I had to ensure that that is also something that, that continues because I still have siblings. I still have a mother that needs to be taken care of, and that pushes me to want to break boundaries. Also, being a female farmer, a Black female farmer in a male dominated industry can also be very challenging, can also be helpful because, you stand out. I mean, of course, you have to work 2 times harder because you find people that just look down on you and thinking, what does she have to say? As young as she is, what does she even know? You know what you know because you know the people that have impacted you and, your journey in this industry, and you know the things that you have done. You look at the farm and the condition that it's still standing in, and you're like, no, actually, I know what I'm doing. I could still need a lot of help, of course, but I am pushing through because I'm my father's child. More than anything, having community, having a supportive mother who's also just cheering has just given me strength to say, Lesedi, you are able to. You did this. Your dad has here. Your dad taught you. There are still footsteps that you see, or, this is how he navigated. This is how we moved. And so we move. There's no time to pity and feel sorry for yourself. Unfortunately, time waits for no one. It's either you move with it or you stay behind.
Yeah, there's so much that you said now that resonates and, is a food for thought, like a moment to pause and just, reflect on what you're saying. As you're saying, the way you've navigated challenges is remembering, I suppose, walking with what your father has imparted in you. And I think that is so beautiful. It's something that has stayed alive or that continues to live within you, your father's passion for the farming that he has done. And I think it's just so beautiful that you carry that forward now in the business. So I am so sure that he is super proud of you and your family right now, and all that you're doing. As you said, it is difficult being a woman in the industry as well. So you're doing amazing, Lesedi. And I think going into the next question that I have, there's just so many times when you are at the brink of giving up or pushed to, that thought does occur because you're working with nature and that is something beyond our control as humans. The principles that guide you, your father, of course, what he has taught you and imparted in you, and the lessons you remember from him. But is there anything else that has maybe that also guides you in terms of the way you navigate the business as well? Yeah, maybe if you could share some principles for our younger women who are listening to, that would be helpful in that sense.
More than anything, for me, it is to lead with respect and with honesty. Again, a female, you are in this industry, and sometimes people don't see you for, your capabilities and what you could have. You are almost judged from just being a female and being a young Black woman. But I always ensure that I respect you even in how I speak to you and how I try to lead the people that are under my leadership. I always try to instill that we respect each other because we are different people. We walk with from we are coming from different parts of the world. We have different values and stuff, but when we are going to work together, and if we are going to ensure that we move, then we are going to have to respect each other, but also I try that we also work, we try to be transparent and to be honest, because if things are not going well and I do not inform the people that I'm working with that things are, then I might have to lie. And, that means, you know, automatically things are not going right. You don't freely do things because you always have to be, and people lose respect for people that are not transparent and not honest in what they are doing. So I try to, more than anything, lead in respect, in honesty, but also I have learned to be resilient and to be firm in order for me to stand my ground. I remember after my dad passed, one of the guys that was working with me had, he left, and he made very funny. I had to let him go because he had made very funny, comments about him not going to be led by a woman. How Gamasadi technically or basically. And I had to be firm and say, okay, this guy has been with us. He probably knows, the ins and outs, but I'm going to have to let him go because that's not how I'm not going to work with a person that is not going to respect what I'm saying or what the instructions, and he's not going to carry and respect the instructions that are given in order for us to move. Already there is sexism in the comments that have been made. And because it's me and my mom who's left to ensure that, the legacy moves on, the business moves on, who are you going to then listen to? Because we are both women. What then? So those are the things that I had to learn, to be resilient and to be firm and assertive, but also be respectful and honest in what we are doing. The other thing is we always have, because, this is an industry that keeps growing, that keeps changing. So I always try to, um, are you there? Sorry. I always try to, um, uh, get myself, to try to learn and upskill myself, and upskill myself, learn and upskill myself. And even if it means just going to the farmer's day, even if it means to knocking in doors and asking, that is one of the things that, not always just closing up yourself and not, opening yourself up to criticism criticism, because that will, help you correct yourself or fix yourself in where you might be lacking. But most importantly, also to possess patience, viewing farming as a journey and not just as a get rich thing, knowing that there will be ups and downs. But you need to be patient, in everything that you are doing, because at the end of the day, it's a journey, and the journey is not straight. There's hiccups here and there, but you embrace the challenges that comes with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the bit where you spoke about transparency and honesty, in running a business, like with yourself, but also with the employees, as you have said, and those who work with you on the farm. I think that's quite an important point when it comes to farming. Um, and yeah, going maybe moving into the legacy that you'd like to leave behind. You're already continuing the legacy, so I think it'll be an interesting question for you to answer. That it's not something you start. You said third generation, so it's there's already a legacy that's going. So how do you see yourself carrying this legacy forward, but also adding to it? Because of course you're a force within your own right as well, and there's something unique and special that you bring to the business, and I suppose the perspectives that you also have that are new, and the innovations that you come up with that are new and add to the legacy. Maybe you can talk us through that as well.
Oh man, this is such a beautiful question, actually. This is really, a beautiful question. I am really passionate about inspiring and empowering youth. But most of all, I am passionate about inspiring Black women, to know that, there is a place for us here. So we need to take up our space and stand for who we are, but also to inspire people and let people know, to knowledge people in knowing that agriculture is not just that that place where back in the day where you couldn't, if you were not performing, they'll say, hey, Morakeng, you're going to the farm, It's actually such a broad industry. There is so much in agriculture. I mean, I am a founder of Morakeng Farm Camp. It is an agricultural farm camp that takes place annually here at the farm, where we invite people from across the country. We've actually even have people coming from outside the countries like Botswana and Lesotho coming to join the camp. And I think we have hosted close to over 300 campers here at the farm. And that is, the idea to bring people together where learning and teaching and sharing ideas around, farming and agribusinesses, and how people can start their own agribusinesses or navigate the agribusinesses, so the camp is really here to share, for people to share knowledge, promoting eco-friendly practices in agriculture, showcasing what they are doing. And, when we have people, like last year, we had a lady from Mpumalanga, a beautiful young lady who he was inspiring us about how he started doing her crops. And because he didn't have land, she started going to abandoned schools and halls and, started planting there. And right now she is planting in hectares and hectares and hectares of land, because she didn't wait and say, but I don't have land. So I'm waiting for land for me to start. Start with what you have. Start a backyard garden, because start something, start somewhere, in order for you to one day be recognized and be seen. So, I'm really big in, trying to, get people to know that there is space for us out there. Women, do not sleep on this. There's now great opportunities. There is, like I said, it's a broad industry. We need accounting, and there is accounting. We need accountants in agriculture, because how are you getting your bookkeeping done correctly? We're going to say, hey, these people are not funding us, but your record keeping is not in order. Your finances are not in order, because you need an accountant. we're going to say, hey, but my business is not growing. People don't know about my business. But where are you marketing yourself? So marketing plays such a big role as well in you growing what you are doing. But we only have sometimes this narrative that farming is just, you're going to just become a mudisa, you're going to be running around your kettles, and that is it. No, there's so much more than just becoming a mudisa. There's so much more, and technology has also, it has also made so much waves around agriculture, so partnering agriculture and technology, it is something that is going to be beyond and beautiful, things that we are creating. And I must say, with the farm camp, and that's how we then started the small stock auction. Like I mentioned, that we are hosting now our small stock auction, and it really started from having to bring my one of my mentors, Kihenze Musimanyani, to say, come speak to people about goats, and then people wanting to buy the goats that he was showcasing, to thinking, how can we then do this? Then we started going to the people that we around our, locally, we started a club where, we are going to breed our own goats, our own. Not, we don't go buy people's things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we breed our own so that we know the genetics, how it's going. Sell, build a market. People can buy from us, and it is for us. It's for our people. It's from our own people. So there's also a legacy in that. It is a small stock auction that was formed by the people of this community, and it's heard by a female. I don't know. I could say I don't mean to blow my own horn, but perhaps I'm one of the first few females that can stand and say, we've started a small stock auction. I'm heading a small stock auction because a lot of people, and even when people are calling and finding out about the Morakeng Farm Camp, they always, when I pick up and it's a woman, it's always a bit, it's like, hey, Obutili said, I'm thinking, no, it's actually, it's a woman, it's a lady. And at first they're very skeptical because what do you mean what do you mean you are hosting a small stock auction? What do you mean you are doing a whole agricultural farm camp, as a young girl? And when sometimes they don't know me, they see me and they're like, but you are young. And I'm like, yeah, yes, I am. Um, so I'm grateful that I have already started building, ways to, build legacies. And I think that it will keep inspiring people and empowering people. And like I said, especially for women, because the people have slept on women a lot. And I always think, farming has been a woman's thing, back in the days. Fathers would go foodie mining to go work. And yes, he will have small stokonyana or dikhomunyana, but a woman, a mother, would stay behind and take care of those things for him to go make money so that we can feed those things. So I believe that, give it to a woman and they will multiply, they will grow these things. And yes, we depend on obviously them helping us. We are not 50-50. I'm not 50-50 with Nan, but we do great things. We do great things given the opportunity, given the opportunity, we really are able to, and we can, and we are, and like we were talking before we, we're talking about how you guys are currently interviewing a lot of females. That really excites me because I'm like, what a beauty, and thank you that Mzansi food is also, giving women a platform to be celebrated, to be noticed, to be seen for who and what they are and what they can be. So yeah, that's pretty much what I am doing and participating in. Outside me, of course, running the family farm and ensuring that things are growing and are going, as as we would wish to.
Oh, you answered that question so beautifully. Like, I think I actually wanted you to just keep going, and I'm like, taking notes on my side on this end as well. Like, yes, you are definitely a very inspiring Black woman, and I think you were speaking now about farming being something women have always been a part of. There's actually statistics that the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, have that in Africa as a whole, it's mostly women who are, you know, um, behind the food systems and work within the agricultural force. So yeah, it's definitely worth I think women knowing that this is something that we are made we can do and can do really well. And examples like yourself is exactly why we have podcasts like this as well, and that you're able to also yeah, so yeah, like for the younger women or even older women, just to see that it is doable and there are women who are thriving in it. So the way you answer that question is amazing, and would love to hear more about the camp as well. I will speak to you after the podcast, after it's recording, a bit to hear a little bit more about that, so we can figure out how to share about it with our audience as well. And just to wrap up, what is in closing, I suppose, the like advice that you would want to leave from this podcast? If there's one thing that you'd want to share with anyone listening, what is that?
Um, I think really I like to just say to people that whatever it is that it is for you, go for it, go for it. Go for it because, you are never too ready. You are never there's never a right time. Just go for it. I having to have just been thrown in where I was, dad is here, dad is gone, and there's no time. I mean, people are there with you at that time. We are crying together. But after that, you are on your own and time is not waiting for you for nothing. Like it's not going to wait for you. So whatever it is that is for you, go for it. Give it a shot. Like give it a shot. And if you believe in it, somebody will see it and somebody will, people will come and assist you and help you. Because when you are starting, of course, when you're starting something, not everybody believes in it. But as soon as we see that this person is consistent in doing whatever they are doing, as small as it is, as stupid as it seems or looks, um, somebody will see you for what you are trying to do. And like I said when I spoke about farming, that to possess patience, view what you're doing as a journey, that it will come with ups and downs, but you don't stop because you are challenged, but you grow because you are challenged. So give it a shot, do what it is that you want to do, and thrive, thrive. And for those that want to partake in this journey of agriculture, especially women, please, we need you guys. There is so much space for us, and take up your space, wear your crown, and you will find people along the way to fix the crown for you. But wear it however way, and don't look back, and just go, and just go, and just go. So yes, and thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to be able to share and to speak. Yeah.
Thank you so much to Lesedi Serapelwane. And if you'd like to read more about her story, you can definitely visit www.foodformzansi.co.za. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. From myself, Patricia Tembo, our technical producer, Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #team Food for Mzansi, thank you for listening and keep growing with us.